I used to think invitations meant inclusion. That night at the restaurant in Portland taught me otherwise. The place glittered with chandeliers and quiet laughter, the kind that comes from people who've never had to count a dollar. I sat at the long mahogany table, surrounded by the family who had raised me but never truly called me their own, the Hayeses. Elaine, my adoptive sister, wore a diamond choker that caught the light every time she tilted her head in judgment. "Clairable," she said, her voice sugar-sweet with poison underneath. "Maybe find another table? This one's for family." Her words sliced through the air like crystal breaking. Victor, my brother, loud and proud of everything money could buy, chuckled. My adoptive parents, Harold and Margaret, said nothing. Their silence was an agreement. I laughed, too. Quietly. The kind of laugh that hurts more than tears. "Of course," I said, pretending it didn't matter. My hands shook as I picked up my clutch. When the waiter came over, he hesitated before sliding a bill toward me. $3,500. Elaine smirked. "Consider it a thank you for the years we kept you under our roof." Around us, the restaurant hummed with music and murmurs. I could feel eyes turning toward me, the woman who didn't belong. I walked away, each step heavier than the last, and sat near the bar, staring at the shimmering city lights reflected in my untouched glass of water. They laughed behind me. I could hear Victor boasting about his latest investment, Margaret praising Elaine's wine choice, as if my humiliation was just another part of their evening's entertainment. Flashbacks flooded my mind. Victor's 16th birthday car while I walked to school in worn-out shoes. Elaine's designer dresses while I patched up hand-me-downs. "Be grateful," they always said. "You're lucky we took you in." The only one who ever saw me, truly saw me, was Eleanor, my grandmother by name but my only real family by heart. At my graduation, she gave me a small leather book and whispered, "You'll build your worth yourself." That night, as I stepped out into the Portland chill, I understood what she meant. My reflection in the restaurant's glass looked like a stranger, but inside me, something broke, and something else began to form. A quiet, burning resolve. I would never let them define me again. The next morning, the world was grey and still, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't going to chase their approval anymore. Then my phone buzzed, a call from Eleanor. "Come to the house," she said. Her voice trembled, but there was purpose behind it. Her home by Lake Oswego was a world away from my small apartment. It smelled like roses and old paper, memories and legacy woven into every corner. When I arrived, the family was already there. The tension was thick enough to touch. Eleanor sat at the head of the long oak table. Her eyes were clear, sharp, alive. "I saw everything," she said. "And I'm done pretending." Elaine shifted uncomfortably. Harold's jaw tightened. Victor crossed his arms, arrogance fading. Then Eleanor placed a single folder on the table. "I've rewritten my will," she said. "Everything I own, the estate, the company shares, the properties, will go to Clairable." The silence that followed was deafening. Victor's glass slipped and shattered. Elaine's face drained of color. Margaret gasped, hand clutching her pearls. "You can't be serious." Elaine snapped. "She's not even." "She's my granddaughter," Eleanor interrupted, voice firm. "By choice, not by blood. That's what family should mean." It didn't take long for the chaos to spread. By evening, tabloids screamed headlines, "Adopted daughter inherits $1 million estate." Paparazzi waited outside my apartment. Elaine went on local TV accusing me of manipulation. Victor sent messages dripping with threats. I barely slept, my life reduced to a scandal I never asked for. Then, one evening, Eleanor called me to her study. "Sit," she said softly, handing me a folder. Inside were documents, bank statements, letters, legal receipts. My heart sank as I read. Harold and Margaret had stolen $600,000 left by my biological parents for my care. They'd spent it on Victor's tuition, Elaine's vacations, home renovations. All those years of being told I should be grateful, they'd been living off my loss. Eleanor's eyes were sad but fierce. "I've known for 2 years," she confessed. "I needed proof. Now we have it." Her voice grew softer. "I'm sick. Clairable. Stage 4. But I want justice before I go. We'll face them, in truth, not revenge. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt seen. The world had called me an imposter, but Eleanor had called me family. And that was enough to fight for. The press conference was chaos, flashes, questions, microphones pushed too close. Eleanor stood beside me, frail but unshaken. "We are here to tell the truth," she began, her voice steady despite her illness. She presented the evidence: bank transfers, notarized documents, letters from my late parents. Before she could finish, Elaine stormed in, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "She's lying," she screamed, pointing at me. "She's a fraud. We deserve that money, we raised her." Cameras caught every second. The video went viral within hours, but not in the way they hoped. The world saw their cruelty unmasked. Still, they fought back harder. A lawsuit followed, accusing me of coercing Eleanor, claiming I'd taken advantage of her weakness. Reporters camped outside my door. Strangers online called me a con artist. It hurt, but I held on to one truth: Eleanor believed in me. In the courtroom, their lawyer painted me as a manipulator. "She preyed on an elderly woman's emotions," he declared. Caldwell, Eleanor's attorney, stood calmly and opened a binder. "The evidence says otherwise," he said. One by one, he laid out the proof: financial theft, witnesses who testified to years of neglect, medical documents confirming Eleanor's sound mind. Then came the video, Elaine's own outburst. "We deserve that money. We raised her." The courtroom gasped. The judge's gaze hardened. When it was my turn to speak, my voice shook at first. For 30 years, I was invisible in their home. Mocked, denied, dismissed. I'm not asking for wealth. I'm asking for justice, for truth. The judge's gavel fell hours later. Verdict: in my favor. The estate was mine, not out of greed, but as restitution. Harold and Margaret were ordered to repay $1.8 million with interest. Elaine's meltdown as bailiffs restrained her became the story's final scene on the evening news. As we left the courthouse, Eleanor took my hand. "You see," she whispered, "truth always stands taller than lies." And for the first time, I believed her. Victory didn't feel like triumph. It felt like release. The storm had passed, and I stood in the calm, bruised, but whole. News outlets shifted their tone, calling me the woman who reclaimed her truth. Strangers sent letters thanking me for standing up for foster and adopted children. Eleanor grew weaker, her voice fading but her spirit still bright. One evening, as I sat by her bedside, she smiled faintly. "You are my legacy," she whispered. "Not because of what I've given you, but because of what you've become." She passed a week later, her hand still holding mine. I cried until the sun rose, then opened her favorite book, the one she'd once given me, and found her last note tucked inside. "Worth isn't inherited. It's built, and you've built yours beautifully." A year later, I stood in the glass tower of the Eleanor Foundation, overlooking Portland. The foundation now housed hundreds of children who had been through what I once endured. Safe homes, scholarships, second chances. The halls were filled with laughter, not the cruel kind, but the healing kind. I placed her portrait in the lobby that morning. "You did it, Grandma," I whispered. "We did." As sunlight flooded through the windows, I realized something profound. My story was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming dignity, transforming pain into purpose. I'd once been told to find another table. Now, I was building one, big enough for everyone who'd ever been made to feel small.